What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's another freaking day in the neighborhood. Welcome to maintenance day. Pretty much, with all this Rona nonsense going on in the world, everything is closed, shops are not open, etc., etc. So what we are going to do with our free time, since we can't go racing, is continue prepping this car for the track. And by that I mean basic maintenance. I already started on something. I was like, hey, you know what, why not film this? So we are changing, first things first, our supercharger belt. As you can see in one of my other videos, actually the dyno video, that this supercharger belt was actually slipping, causing a bunch of smoke and losing horsepower. I already cleaned it up pretty well around here, but before, you can see there was like a bunch of dirt and buildup around these idler pulleys and water pump where the belt was actually slipping and causing, dust everywhere to fly around. Of course, this is a problem because I'm running the, where is she, bad boy? Right there, 2.3, 3.5 upper pulley and innovative, I think 10% or 14% lower, that big crank pulley down there. Harmonic balancer, actually. Crank pulley, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, because with all those combinations, we are overspinning the blower, running more boost, and finding some belt slippage. I think it was just because of the condition my old belt was. As you can see, this is the color they're supposed to be. That's the color that one is. And why not? Since we're doing maintenance, this will be a perfect time to change it out and hopefully get rid of our slippage issue. But of course, nothing on these cars is bolt-on, or as it seems. Oh, if you guys are wondering, this is the part number for my setup. This is a K120852HD. It's a gate belt, but this is specific for an aftermarket lower. I think the innovative, I want to say it's 10%. I'm not sure. 10% with an LPE, which is this guy right here. Let's change the light. This guy right here. This, I believe, is a 100 mil pulley. And of course, we're running the stock 76 mil pulley right here. This guy that I'm touching. So it really depends on what you're running, that the belt size you will need to find out for that HD belt size at least. Yeah, there's a bunch of different combos you can run, a bunch of different pulleys you can run. So find out what belt size, belt length you need, and do your research before you go buy some, because you will find different belt lengths. It's all over the forum, but for my setup, this is the setup I need to run. And then we cleaned out our air filter. This is also what we'll be doing. When we took off our stock mufflers and manifolds, we removed the sway bars, and actually the threads for the sway bar holder on the front were stripped. And so when I was driving and I pulled up to a curb, the bolts just took all the threads out, and now we lost one of the sway bar bushing bracket holders, so I had to buy a new one. And of course, because of that, we're gonna have to tap and rethread the new bolt size. So that's what these are for. So that's gonna be fun. So I have a tap, drill size, and new bolts. I'm probably gonna have to drill this guy out to fit. I'm just gonna go up another bolt size instead of doing a helicoil, because I really don't believe in helicoils. Time certs, yeah, I'm all about those, but in my past experience, helicoils just always come out. So we're just gonna go up a size, because you will see later there's a bunch of meat on those brackets, so I'm not afraid of drilling and tapping that. Next, since when the sway bar is off, let's go ahead and change our sway bar end links, since these OEM ones are garbage and they like to make a lot of noise when they go bad. And for those who noticed, my crooked mufflers, we got new exhaust hangers because I'm missing a couple. That's why they're crooked, so we're gonna fix that. And on top of that, we'll change our oil and blah 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 blah. Probably change plugs and maybe do a compression check if I have time. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get this serpentine belt on, or serpentine belt, the supercharger belt on the new car. But first things first, this is again a 12 rib. So a lot of these aftermarket heavy duty belts, you have to cut a single rib off because our ZR1 applications call for an 11 rib, and those are the ribs that right here, you count them, there are 11 on this, and our belt is 12, so we need to cut one of these off, and I'll show you guys how to do it. It's pretty easy, it's just time consuming. Take your time and you shouldn't have a problem. I found it easier to just remove the whole throttle body intake system and all that stuff to get to the belt. So now that that's all off, we can actually look and see inside this madness. That's how huge these freaking superchargers are. And this is a stock snout. I believe Lingenfelter makes an aftermarket one that flows more, but this has actually been ported and polished, and that looks pretty nice in there. So cool things. Now let's go ahead and cut our belt up. You can see right here, if you count the ribs, we have 12 and we need 11. So I'm gonna get a straight edge and just start freaking cutting. Cool beans. And just with your basic, like I said, straight edge, we have our single rib cut out. There she is, and now this belt is ready to be installed. I did a pretty good job, but you can see little areas here and there. It's a little higher than lower. Could have took my time, but this actually hurts your hands a lot. But there she is. Let's go ahead and put her on. And now that we have the belt routed, it sure looks pretty. Belt route, I just looked it up online, but if you can guesstimate how it looks for just looking at that, that's how it goes. Now we can go ahead and throw on our throttle body, air intake, and then move on to plugs and wires. No, plugs. We're gonna just keep in the wires. No reason to change them if they work. Change the wires, change the plugs, turn on the car, let the oil get warm, drain the oil, and then once the car's in the air, we'll go ahead and tackle a sway bar and then fix our exhaust hanger alignment curvature nonsense. But cool. Supercharger belt back on. And now that the air intake system is back on, we can go ahead and turn the sucker on, make sure that the belt is seated correctly, not making any funny noises and not throwing itself everywhere. And then hopefully, if that all goes well, let it warm up to operating temps and then get her up in the air so we can drain the oil and continue on with our... Oh no, I need to change the spark plugs real quick first, because better do that cold than hot. So continuing with our maintenance, we got our spark plugs right here. We are running Iridium 9, I believe this is a TR7 1X, or Roman numeral, whatever that translates to. I believe that's 9. We are going to be gapping these to, I believe, 28 thousandths. And we actually have a spark plug tool gapper that I'm going to be using. That's a totally different video. I'll show you how much those are handy. Yeah, 28 thousandths. And so once we get these all gapped, we'll go ahead and throw them in the motor and go from there. Alright boys, just chugging along, knocking things off the list. Spark plugs have officially been changed. These are the old ones. As you can see, everything looks pretty good. No signs of oil consumption, no signs of major, I don't know, detonation. Looks, I remember one of my tuners said it should look like an Oreo, so crispy, black on the outside, white in the middle. To an extent, but so take that as with a grain of salt. But everything looks good. I don't see anything like majorly broken or anything. So, oh yeah, these are NGKR, so that's good, but these are BR7EF, so not sure these are the same plugs that I'm switching out with. Don't look like it. These are the ones my tuner recommended, so take that as you wish. Anyways, plugs in on both sides, and now we can go ahead and put the spark plug wires back on. Sweet. And now it's time for our sway bar issue. So here are the new brackets. I just found out that the bracket came with like some spacer of sort. I believe it goes like right here. I didn't get that for this one. So I have a washer that is as thick as this spacer, whatever. So we're gonna put this under it and see how that plays along. But anyways, let's go show you the problem. So this is the old bolt. This is the new bolt that we're gonna reinstall. When we did the whole, long tubes back in, I saw that these threads were pretty much shot. So you can put a bolt in and out, and then it will just slide out. As I was saying, yeah, so the stock bolt pretty much is just able to go in and out of there with ease. So anytime some force by the sway bar was asserted onto the bolts, they pretty much just popped out and dropped the sway bar on the floor. So that's why we are running no sway bar, and we have been for some quite time. Okay, but here we are with the solution. We're gonna drill these holes out, and then we're gonna tap it to a new thread size. I went one size up. The smart thing to do, maybe I'll do that later if I ever get around to it, is instead of using bolts, you actually use a stud. So the new threads, because this is aluminum, and aluminum really doesn't do good with taking, with threads being with pressure being inserted on the threads, like on and off. So pretty much if you take off a sway bar a lot, that's very bad for aluminum threads, because this is steel, and steel and aluminum, steel will always win. So what people do is they actually put studs in here with the bolts. So the once the threads are made in here, the bolt only puts pressure on the stud threads and not the actual threads of the subframe. So if we ever run into that problem again, I'll go with the stud solution. But for now, we're just gonna hog that bolt out and tap it into the new size. So without further ado, let's get going. Now that the holes are all drilled out nice and straight, no threads in, we can go ahead and use our tap and make some new threads. Alright boys, got some oil on our tap, and we're gonna go in as straight as we can, because if we make these threads crooked, then we are screwed. So nice and easy. Also clean out the hole you're tapping, so your threads are as perfect as they can be. So we'll repeat this until all our threads are done. One hole done. As you can see, bolt threads in perfectly. One hole to go. Same thing. Make sure you insert straight. I put some WD-40 in this sucker, and then start going at it. Make sure you're straight. That's the last thing you want, is not straight thread. Alright. And repeat. And now we have two perfectly good sway bar, bushing holder, thread slash whatever you want to call it. Why won't you focus? Whatever. As you can see, everything goes well in and out. And I think with these, bolts being a nice bigger size, we hopefully won't be running into problems. Oh my gosh, I can't even put this in. There you go. Whoo. There you go. Cool. Let's go throw all the sway bar in. Alright, ladies and gents, and now it's been over like Yeah, since I moved up here, since like 4 months since I had a sway bar. So that's the new bracket, old bolts, old bushings. We even upgraded our A-bar and sway bar end links to the Moog. I forget what they're called, like Moog problem solver stuff. So those are real nice, thick and sturdy compared to the OEM ones. And here is our new bolts and old bracket. Everything looks perfect, nice and sturdy. I don't think this sway bar is gonna be moving anywhere. And of course, new end links over there. So done with this project. I've been putting this off for the longest time.